This one, London system G6. We have Indian game. Instead of d5, black play g6. So this is something special. Black build up this solid structure, and which means when we play white, because usually in London system we'll build up something like e3 and bishop d3 and aiming at this diagonal. But since black played g6, so if we move the bishop to d3 again, so the bishop will be facing a very strong pawn structure. So if I play as white, I would move my bishop to e2 instead of d3. So this is something when we see this move, we need to get some awareness. So we play knight f3 and bishop g7, e3, d6, and bishop d3. Yes, this is what I said. This move lower the bar a bit, which means this move is not a good move. So actually white could have like later move the bishop to e2, but right now we can develop the knight to c3, and if we want to attack the black king, we can push the h pawn, h4, h5, and if necessary we can sacrifice a rook if black take our knight. And also once we move the knight to e2, imagine we have a bishop at e2. Once we push h pawn, we can push the pawn to h5. So this is something I will go for. So bishop to d3, castle, and h4. We want to attack the black king, and bishop to g4. So yeah, that's the thing. If we have bishop to e2, for example like this one, black castle. If we play h4, one black play bishop to g4, we can exchange the bishop like knight d2. So we can exchange the bishop. But in the game we played, so after bishop g4, this bishop is very well defending h5 and also pinning our knight. And we cannot kick the bishop away because we already have a pawn at h4. So if we want to solve the pin, we might end up retreating the bishop back to e2 or knight to d2. So the point is, if we have bishop to e2, that's easier for us to unpin the f3 knight. And also, as I said, bishop at d3 isn't very helpful at this diagonal. So play bishop to knight to d2, knight to d7, and we play c4. So since our knight is pinned, I think e5 is coming. And another downside, or another thing a little concerning, is because we have the bishop and the knight. Once pawn pushing to e5, there is always e4. There's a potential fork that we have to be cautious about. So we can move, for example, pawn to c3, and later maybe bishop to c2. That is avoiding e4 basically. So I think the pawn to e5 is not stoppable. We need to do something beforehand. Maybe bishop back to e2 is something also we can consider, because once this knight is not pinned, it takes more effort from our opponent to push the e5 pawn. So bishop e2 is also something we can consider. There is a problem with c4 is, as I said, after e5, black has a very great control of the center, and since our bishop is the knight is pinned, I mean, if we take the pawn, black take the pawn, there is open d file, and black can very quickly queen to e7, rook to d8 to control the e file. And if we're looking our side, we have a castle and our queen at d1. We have two pieces stucking at the d file, so we will be slow than our opponent to control the d file. So opening the file favors our opponent. But if we don't take the pawn, for example, bishop to g5, this is what we did, black could take our pawn. And we cannot take that with the knight, we should take it with the pawn. And rook ea, black can control the e file. This also makes us passive. So the best move is retreat the bishop to e3. And black can keep adding pressure on this bishop to h6. So the point is, if we have a pawn at c3, maybe this e5 is less effective, because after e5, bishop to g5, pawn take, we can take that with the c pawn. We can still keep the e file semi-open. So this makes us, or the king, safe. So that's the reason c3 is better than c4. Yeah. So we need to be very mindful of the potential exchange or pawn attack at the center. So bishop to g5, h6, and knight takes. We move the queen to b3. So there is always something with the e pawn, either taking our d4 to open the file or fork. So we need to either bishop e2 to make the bishop safe, avoiding the fork, and also close the e file with the bishop. So that's a safer move. So that is the move we need to think about. Something also suggested from the engine for the best move, bishop e2. I understand it's not easy to retreat the bishop if we already divided to d3, but it's the safest move because there is the open file or e4 coming. So in this case, we play queen b3. We want to be active and passive, but aggressive. But the thing is, we are the weaker side at the center. So yeah, so I think black took this opportunity. Black has quicker piece development and the king safety. So yeah, so black is quicker than us to take advantage of this position. So yeah, and after e4 we will lose material, and also I don't think we have a chance to balance the position. So can we take that with the pawn? I think it's better than taking the knight, but once the file is open, there's still some problem at the e file and also the pawn structure. But I still think losing a minor piece is worse than having this position. Knight e4. Yeah, we can take, pawn takes. Yeah, we will end up losing a pawn, but at least we have equal number of minor pieces. So the thing is, I think first of all, the position of the light square bishop is the critical thing in this opening, especially you looking at this structure. Another thing is, once black push the e pawn, we need to be so cautious and taking much more time to think about what would happen after either the pawn advance or open up the file. So this is something we need to be very cautious to think about. And that's it for this one. We don't have to walk through the rest of the game because I don't think we have a chance after losing a bishop. I think this opening the first 10 moves are really critical. And that's it.